Hey YouTube, it's Tech Savvy Solution here, and I'm here with part 3 of the Samsung Galaxy Nexus full customization tutorial. By now, you should have completed parts 1 and 2 of the tutorial, which taught you how to unlock the bootloader of your phone, how to root it, and how to get Jelly Bean 4.1 on your Samsung Galaxy Nexus. In this part of the review, I'll be teaching you how to customize your Galaxy Nexus and how to theme it. Perhaps to make it look something like this, or have a sort of hybrid tablet mode where it's half phone, half tablet. And let me show you really quickly my Gmail app and how it looks like it's in tablet mode even though I'm on a phone. Whoa. So that will occur in the later parts of the review, but before I do that, I have to go ahead and teach you the basics of customizing and theming, so that from there, the rest will be pretty straightforward. In this part of the review, I'll be outlining how to theme system icons via zip themes in recovery mode, how to theme the lock ring or other parts of the system through Metamorph themes, as well as an alternate route to that via Zipthemer. I'll also be teaching you how to change your fonts through ROM Toolbox. And then, if you're not on root, or if you're on Ice Cream Sandwich and below, and you want to be able to change how these regular icons look, then I'll be exploring options through the Google Play Market where you can download alternate launchers and their theme packages. Finally, I'll be teaching you how to get your phone to look like this in hybrid tablet mode, because there are a little more steps than just downloading and flashing the zip file via recovery mode. So at the end of this, I hope you enjoy theming and customizing your phone, and I hope that you learn something from it. So without further ado, let's get started with part A of part 3, which is theming system icons through recovery mode. So in this little section of the review, I'm going to show you how to theme your system icons first. So one way to theme your phone is to flash theme zip files to recovery mode, which is what we're going to be doing. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to theme your status bar icons, so these icons right here, and then also your navigation bar buttons down below. So your first step is to go to your web browser. And then I'll have the link in the video description below. And then we're going to go to xdadevelopers.com again and hit up this post. And then we're going to download this modification. Now it does say, note, this mod will not work on custom Jelly Bean ROMs. It does work for the one that you just flashed, however, because I just tested it and it works just as well and just fine. So we're going to go all the way down to the download link. And I'm going to download Ultimate Mod V2, and that's going to get us this mod over here. So go ahead and click on that link. And then click on the download link. And it should download to the folder that you normally have for default downloads. So while that's loading, you can go ahead and plug in your phone because we're going to have to transfer this file onto here. So make sure that you know where it is when you've downloaded it. Or what you could do if you're running Chrome is just drag and drop this file onto your phone. So we're going to go ahead and open up Device to view files, take a look at our internal storage, and then I would put it in a folder where you would remember. So back to part 1 and 2 where we created the flash folder. I created a separate subfolder inside of it called themes, so I know where to put this thing. So as you can see, I already dragged and dropped this file into the folder themes. So right now it's going to be on my device. And later on in this video tutorial, we're going to be adding these additional files as well, because we're going to be flashing them later on. So once that is on your phone, we're going to go on to the next step. So we can just go ahead and unplug the phone. And then now what we have to do is download ROM Toolbox. So with ROM Toolbox, we have to get it from the Play Store. So go ahead and search for ROM Toolbox. Oops. And then I'm using ROM Toolbox Lite, but if you feel like you want some of the other additional features on ROM Toolbox Pro, you can support the developers, but for now, the Lite version works for this. Let's just wait for that to download. Oh, I see. Might be a good idea to set up Wi-Fi. But we can do that a little later. Alright, so now that we have ROM Toolbox, we're going to go ahead and open it up. You're going to say grant super user request. And just wait a moment for it to run. And then it'll say that the Toolbox Lite has been granted super user permissions. And then now what we're going to do is go to this option, we'll just manage ROM. And we'll explore the rest of this application a little later because it has a ton of stuff that we can use to customize our phone. So for now, we're going to go ahead and reboot recovery. So we're not flashing recovery because we did that in parts 1 and 2. So all we have to do is reboot to recovery mode, and it's going to take us straight to the Clockwork mod recovery that we had installed earlier. Okay, so once we're here, we're going to select the option install zip from SD card, and then we're going to choose zip from SD card, and then flash, themes, and then the one that we just downloaded, which is JB Theme Ultimate Mod V2. And then we're going to say yes. Go ahead and install that. Alright, so that was quick. And then we're going to go back, reboot the system now. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and unlock. And as you can see with the status bar icons, they look exactly as they are in the picture over here. Oops. And then for navigation buttons, they're also quite different and cool as well. So that is a look at how to theme through flashing zip files in recovery mode. And on the next section of this part 3 review, I'm going to be going over how to theme the lock ring, which is what you see in this lock screen, through either Metamorph or Zipthemer if Metamorph doesn't work. So in this next part of the tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to theme the lock screen through either Metamorph or Zipthemer. So let me just show you what we're going to be theming. We're going to be changing the icon of this lock ring. And we're going to be making it look like any of one of the icons that we have to choose from. There are more than just this, there are tons. So before we can do that, I have a disclaimer for Metamorph. So I tested Metamorph tons and tons of times on this phone and on Jelly Bean, and sadly enough, Metamorph does not work very stably on this phone. It worked for me once, but then every time after that either did not work for me, or it actually caused my phone to go into a boot loop. So very unstable. I would not recommend using it. However, I'm going to show you how to actually use Metamorph, just in case that they expand support for Jelly Bean or the Galaxy Nexus with Jelly Bean in the future, or if you want to stay on Ice Cream Sandwich or any other firmware below that, in which Metamorph would then work. I consider it basic in theming, so I'm going to show you how to use it regardless. So right now, what you should do is actually download Metamorph and Zipthemer from the market, and of course keep your ROM toolbox because we're going to be needing in this section as well. So now once you have downloaded this, you can go ahead and go to the site that I have in the video description below and choose from the lock rings. So these are really cool. I'm really excited about these. I didn't make them, of course, but we have access to them. So I'm going to go ahead and download, how about the Xbox 360? Alright, so once you have downloaded that, then you're going to go ahead and plug in your Galaxy Nexus to your computer. Alright, let's open device to view files, and go ahead and drag and drop this file into your internal storage. So one thing I realized that I'd said earlier in the video is that you can drag and drop directly from here, but you can't when you're transferring files to the Galaxy Nexus. So first, let's go ahead and navigate to where we want to drop our file. In this case, I want to put it in the Flash file. I also created another folder, themes, and then I also created another folder for Metamorph. I already have another lock screen in here, or lock ring in there, but I'm gonna go ahead and drag and drop the 360. Oops. Again, I just said I couldn't do that. Here I go. We want to go to show folder, so it's gonna take me to my downloads folder, and then from there we can drag and drop into the Galaxy Nexus. So X out of that, and then now we can just unplug our Galaxy Nexus from the computer. And then now we can go ahead and start flashing this. So what we're going to do, let's go to Metamorph, and again, don't do this, just watch, or you can fast forward to when I show you how to use Zipthemer. But in Metamorph, what you would do first normally is to unzip and extract new theme. And you'll notice that before we can do that, we have to enable USB debugging. So you want to go to your settings, and then scroll all the way down to developer options. Make sure it is on in the first place. Say OK. And then check USB debugging. Say OK. Then once you have that completed, we can go ahead, go to Metamorph, and then looks like we have to restart it. So just click back, exit out, go to Metamorph again, say no thanks, and then now we can go ahead and unzip and extract the new theme that we just downloaded. We do have to grant permissions for super user, however, so say grant, and then now what we can do is extract it. So it'll take you to the folder that you opened up last, and just so I can show you where we found this, is that we have to go to the folder in which we downloaded it in, so Flash, then Themes, Metamorph files, and then 360. And then, for some reason, it says it does not work, but it worked for the Nexus file. Let me go ahead and extract Nexus. So let's go ahead, go to Flash, Themes, Metamorph files, and Nexus. Alright, and then I already extracted it, so it says it already exists. So I'm just going to replace that. So close. And then now what you can do is apply this theme. So apply it. But I'm not going to apply this theme because it'll mess up my phone. Or it'll just not work anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and select back. But what you would normally do is apply it and then just keep on saying continue, and then it'll ask you to reboot your phone. Just say yes so you can see the changes, and then you'll go ahead and have a new lock ring. So that is when Metamorph is more stable with Jelly Bean. But for now we have a workaround. So what we're going to do instead of Metamorph is Zipthemer. And what Zipthemer does is repackage a Metamorph zip file into one that can be flashed through recovery mode. Because the zip file, although it looks, it is a zip file that is similar to one that we can flash in recovery mode, because it has that extension, but it is not the same thing, so you wouldn't be able to flash under normal circumstances. But with Zipthemer, it'll make it possible for us to do that. So we're going to go ahead and create that new zip file that will be compatible with recovery mode. That was a lot of jargon, but that's basically the thought behind, or the function behind Zipthemer. So what we can do, or what we have to do before we even start making our file, is that we have to choose Update Edify through the menu. And what we're going to do now is browse for the ROM that we flashed in part 1, so our Jelly Bean ROM. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my Flash folder again to find this ROM, and it's called Team Inferno Jelly Belly. Right, so once we have found that ROM, now all we have to do is select Configure, and then it'll go ahead and update Edify, and really small text that says Success. So that means we're all good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and click back, and now we can start compiling our theme. So go ahead and click the back button until you get to the root of your storage, select Flash, Themes, Metamorph files, and then I'm going to select Nexus. And so now what we can do is say build it. And then it'll ask you if you want to create a flashable undo file, just in case you don't like what you see once you have flashed it, and it's always a good idea to say yes. So while that's going, you can go ahead and sit back, get a cup of coffee or something. Okay, so now we're done with that, and it successfully created the file. So now all we have to do is go home and go to our ROM toolbox. So say grant, and then, oops, it says we failed to obtain root access. This is odd. Alright, so let's go ahead and go to Manage ROM, and then go to Reboot Recovery, where we can access recovery mode. So that whole was not able to grant root access was a freak occurrence because it has not happened to me until now. So you may get some of those things, but just go ahead on and carry on with the instructions and should work. So now we're in Clockwork Mod Recovery, and we can go ahead and select Install Zip from SD card. We want to choose the zip file and scroll all the way down to where the file is located, which by default is going to be located in the root of your storage, so not in any folder. And then we can go ahead and select the one that we just created. It'll be called Nexus Update. The undo file is the one to revert the changes back to what we had before. So let's select Update, and then yes. And alright, it works. If we did not update Edify, it'll say installation aborted because you have to change the Edify to make it work on the device. So if you get that sort of error, try updating Edify again. If you want, you can choose option 2 to try and update that. However, it did not work for me, so stick with option 1. Maybe in the future they'll have support for option 2. But for now, let's go ahead and go back and then reboot the system now, and we should see the changes in the lock ring. Okay, and as you can see, we have this nice Nexus themed lock ring, which is pretty cool. It matches our boot animation. And then we can go ahead and slide to unlock. And then if you notice, our navigation bars and our status bar icons are still intact. And they have not been overwritten or erased, so that's always a good sign as well. So now we're going to move on to changing the fonts of the system. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and change the system fonts through ROM Toolbox. I had mentioned before that this toolbox has tons and tons of stuff that we can use to customize our phone, so it's definitely worth another look at it. So right now, the default will be selected at Tools, but we want to go past the Performance category and into the Interface category. And then the first thing you're going to see is Font Installer. So you'll get this dialog saying that you don't have just one font that does not have any previews downloaded. The first time you open this, you're going to have many of them that don't have previews. So you want to go ahead and say download all the previews. Because what the previews are what you just see right here. They actually have the style of the lettering for you to see before you apply it. Whereas if you didn't download the previews, they'd just be plain text and you wouldn't be able to tell one theme from another. So you can go ahead and choose the font that you see is best, I guess. There are tons and tons available. So I'm going to go ahead and choose, how about the font that this ROM Toolbox is in? So it is called Sony Sketch, right up here. I'm going to go ahead and select that, and then select install. And then it'll ask you to reboot your system in order to get changes, and you can just say OK. And there we go. So you can go ahead and take a look at the new fonts. Some of the fonts were not changed, like some of the system fonts, voicemail, new messages, that has not changed. But let's go ahead to Tech Savvy Solution, take a look at my email, and if we go to, actually read your comments, guys. So let's go to this message. So thanks Miro Conil, if that's how you pronounce it. Thanks for subscribing to me on YouTube. And as you can see, the message on here, if my camera can focus, there we go. It has the new font that we had applied onto it. So ROM Toolbox is great. We're going to be using it later on when we convert this into hybrid tablet mode. But next, I'm going to be showing you how to theme icons through just app launchers that you can download straight from the market, no root required, and then you can get themes from there too. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the Play Store so we can see some alternate app launchers that we can use to theme our device. So the app launchers that I recommend are going to be as follows. Nova Launcher, and then after that, Go Launcher EX, and then I'm not going to install the rest, but I also recommend Launcher Pro or ADW Launcher. They're fairly stable app launchers, or sorry, just regular launchers. So I would use those if I were you. So for these purposes, I'm going to be showing this on Go Launcher EX. So as you can see already, when I just searched for Go Launcher, up came a bunch of themes for it. So you can theme your icons using just like what you can download from here. So for example, if I want to go ahead and make my phone, let's make it this theme. If we want to make our icons look like this, I can go ahead to the screenshots so we can take a look. Then I can go ahead and download this theme file. So I'm going to accept and download. And then I'm not going to open it, but rather I'm going to go home. And now we get to select which launcher that we want to use. This is our default launcher. This is Go Launcher, that's Nova Launcher. I'm going to select Go Launcher, and then if we don't want this to appear every single time, then we can just select Always. That'll make it the default launcher. And then it's going to walk you through the steps of like, hey, this is how I work. And this is what you can do. And your themes and everything, your widgets and gestures. And then also the updates. And then we can just slide that out of the way. And then now we can go down to our menu. Oh, glide up to activate menu. Thanks. We could do that too. But we're going to go to themes, and then this will show us what we have installed. So you can see we have a choice of the 2 default themes and then the one that we had just downloaded. So I'm going to say apply, then restart the launcher, and then there you go. You have a quick way to theme your icons. So this is pretty neat. And there you go. You could do the same thing with ADW Launcher, Launcher Pro, etc. Just download the themes from the Play Store. Also in Go Launcher EX and many other alternative Android launchers are preferences specific to that launcher. So for example, if I go to their preferences, we have visual settings, backgrounds, wallpaper. We even have the option to blur the wallpaper, tab background, the icons, and you can deal with all these sorts of options to theme your system. So you can also choose to change your fonts through this program as well instead of ROM Toolbox. But if you want to use a different launcher, of course, ROM Toolbox would be the alternative application to use. And you also have indicator style when you're scrolling through pages. And then if you have multiple themes installed, you can go ahead and mix and match all of their different customizations. Because again, like with, for example, icons, theme icon, you can choose either the theme that you have currently installed or like default style, or folder icon, you can choose whichever one. So it's a great way to mix and match stuff. If you like one part of this theme, you want to put it in the cooking pot, and then the other part of this theme put in the cooking pot, and then you cook this awesome theme you have for your phone. I don't know why I use that weird analogy, but I thought it was fitting for theming. But anyways, you have a bunch of options for Go Launcher EX, and then also for ADW, for Nova Launcher, for Launcher Pro and stuff. So how about, let me show you a gesture, or not a gesture, transition. So let's go to effects, and let's just say horizontal transition for the app drawer. We can go to, how about let's do chariot. Alright, and then enter transition, let's do windmill. Home screen, let's do cube inside. And then we have to restart this in order for changes to take effect. There we go. And then let's wonder if we can just restart it from menu here. Nope. Alright, then let's go ahead and exit Go Launcher EX. And then now we can click home, say always. And let's check out our transitions that we just put in under new effects. And then if we take a look at our app drawer, as you can see, it's not as snappy as stock, of course, because you have all of these themes overlaid onto it. And notice that my icons reverted back because I chose to have it in a different theme package than the one that came in. So let's a brief look at what you can do with all of this. Again, you can, I'm teaching you the basics, so the rest from here is pretty straightforward. You just look at those options, you choose the ones that you want, and then don't play around with the ones that you don't want, and then there you go. Next, we're going to be covering how to theme in the tablet mode, or not how to theme, but rather how to get your phone into this hybrid tablet mode, which I think is super cool. So that's coming up right in a few seconds. Alright, so what I'm going to do first is go back to the stock launcher so that we don't mess anything up with Go Launcher EX. I've only tested it on the stock launcher. So what we're going to do is go to settings and find that, and then go to apps, and then go all the way, oops, Go Launcher was first, so let's go to Go Launcher EX, and then clear defaults. So remember when we had set this this app launcher to be the default launcher. Well, we're going to clear that so that when I press home, we can select the stock launcher as the default launcher, say always. And it's okay if our wallpaper stays the same, but we just want to make sure that we're running on the stock launcher. So once we're here, we can first go ahead and go to recovery mode and do an Android backup. So what you want to do from here is go to manage ROM again, slide 1 to the left, go to manage, and then reboot to recovery mode. And then while that's rebooting, we can go ahead and download the zip file that we're going to be flashing in recovery mode in order to get us into tablet mode. So I believe it's this link. I'll have it in the video description below. And then now let's go ahead and download the zip file. We can put this on the side just for a moment. And then we can scroll all the way down for the download link and go ahead and click that. Or what you can do is, if you have a QR code reader on your phone, you could have scanned that to have it download to your phone. Either one works, but I prefer just to download it from the desktop and then transfer it to your phone. And then while that's downloading, let's go ahead and make an Android backup. So select backup and restore, that option, and then you want to create a backup. And then when that's done, then you can go ahead and continue to the next step, but let's just wait for everything to load. So it should take just a bit. It may take a while depending on how much you have on your system, because Android backs up pretty much everything that you need to get back to your original state. So as you can see, it's loading all of those APKs, all of your apps. If you have too many Androids in your SD card, obviously it's going to take up quite a bit of space. So make sure you only do the ones that are most essential, aka your original setting. And then if you have a customization that you particularly like I like the hybrid tablet mode, you would make an Android backup of that so you can switch between states, and then you won't have to worry about losing your data if something goes wrong. You can always revert to that. One thing that I also want to make note of, and something that's also good to know, is that to go into recovery mode, don't necessarily rely on ROM Toolbox, just in case your phone, for example, goes into boot loop, like what happened to me in Metamorph. I could not access ROM Toolbox, obviously, because it wouldn't boot up. So what you would do is just first pull your battery, and then that sounds like horrible, but pull your battery, put it back in, put the cover back on, and then go into fast boot mode. Remember the 2 volume buttons over here at the same time, and then the power button here. So don't do it now because it's making the backup, but this is how you get into fast boot mode. And once you have that, you would go ahead and connect that to your computer, and then open up the Galaxy Nexus toolkit, and then go into recovery mode through here. So we would select, once you're let's go ahead and show you from the start. You would go ahead and select the latest model, so number 6, and then go to option number 9, which is boot into Clockwork Mod Recovery. Enter that and you would boot into the first option. And then from there, if something ever went wrong with your phone, you would go ahead and restore the backup that you had made, and then you'll be back to the settings that you had from before you made those changes. So it looks like the Android backup is almost done. There we go, it's backing up the data. Oh no, never mind, it was just backing up the previous part, so now it has a whole nother part to back up. It might take a little while, but it's worth it, just in case something goes wrong with your system. So I'm just going to give you an outline of what we're going to be doing with the hybrid tablet mode. Is that once we download it, we're going to go ahead and flash it through Clockwork Mod Recovery again. And then after that, we're going to download Smart Keyboard because of tablet mode, our stock keyboard is going to be a little messed up in terms of size. So we want to download a keyboard that can be resized, and such a keyboard is Smart Keyboard. Make it larger so we can actually type on it. And then after that, we're going to change the keyboard height and actually resize it so that, it'll actually fit us. Otherwise it's going to be super tiny. And then after that, in order to accommodate the small font that tablet mode makes out of this, we're going to go to Settings, Accessibility Options, and then select the large font so that we can actually read what we're seeing. And then after that, we're going to try and change the LCD density to 192. And I said try, but it's going to work. So what will happen with the LCD density is that it's going to make it the hybrid tablet mode. So normally, or when we first flash this, it's going to be in tablet mode. And then once we change the LCD density, it's going to move the navigation bar from the bottom, the navigation bar from the side, put it in the center, and then move the status bar from the bottom to the top like it does in regular Android. And then you'll see a mix of the two, but a lot of the apps should still be able to function in tablet mode. A lot of the default apps do. So that's why I call it a hybrid tablet mode. I actually prefer this to the regular tablet mode, because the regular tablet mode font is so small. Alright, so once your Android backup is complete, we're going to go ahead and reboot the system, because we have a couple of things that we have to do while we're in Android before we continue on. So the first one of those things is transferring the tablet mode zip file that we had downloaded on our computer. We're going to put that onto our phone. And then after that, we're going to download Smart Keyboard. And the reason why I'm downloading it now as opposed to after we flash the zip file is because once we flash to the tablet mode zip, all the fonts and the font sizes are going to be really, really small, including the keyboard. So it's going to be hard to type on and hard to actually find it in the market. If you have big thumbs, it's going to be a little frustrating, if anything. So we're going to download it while we're still in Android and before we flash the zip. So let's go ahead and plug our phone to our computer and transfer the file. And then open device to view files on the computer. Let's wait for that to load. That's weird how it's lagging mysteriously. Alright, so I guess we'll ditch this, and let's go to my computer then. So go to the start menu, and then computer, and then we can go ahead and open it from here. I don't know why Windows Explorer is lagging so much. It's quite odd. So let's just wait for or close the program. And there we are. Let's go ahead and restart that, and then go back to my computer. There we are, our Galaxy Nexus. Weird. So now we're going to go to the folder that we're going to drag our file to, and I'm just going to put it into the themes folder, even though it's not technically a theme. And then let's go ahead and, I'm saying go ahead a lot, I'm sorry, but let's show this in folder so we can drag and drop it. And this is a modified tab mode that I had before, but I'm not going to flash that. Okay, we're going to flash this tablet mode, which is the original one. And then now that we have it in our device, let's go ahead and, again, go ahead. Let's unplug our device from the computer, and then go to the Play Store and download Smart Keyboard. So enjoy the fact that you can actually type on your keyboard right now, because In a moment in tablet mode, we're not going to be able to. Briefly. And then we're going to make some changes in order to make it usable. So let's install this. Accept and download. That was quick. And then now we're good to go. What we're going to do is go to settings now. And go to language and input. And then select Smart Keyboard Trial. Say yes. And then make the default the Smart Keyboard Trial. Now from here we're going to go to settings. And then we're going to go to general settings. Scroll all the way down. And we're going to go to key height. And it's going to look silly at first, but we're going to make it as big as we can. And let me just show you how that looks when we go ahead and when we type in the Google search. So let's just click next, next. Yes, I'm in. Thanks. And search. It's ginormous. But it's going to be useful when we go into tablet mode. So now that we have our keyboard and everything else set up, we're going to go to ROM Toolbox. Let's X out of that. And then go to Manage ROM, and we're going to get to recovery mode again. So reboot recovery. Alright, once we're in recovery, we're going to install zip from SD card. Choose zip, flash. Go to the folder in which we had put it in, and then tab mode is what it's called. And say yes, we do want to install it. It shouldn't take too long. So there we go. Now we can go back and reboot the system now. Alright, as you can see, it's already starting to boot up. And you have the status bar down in the bottom as well as your notifications. And it's just like, oh my god, the icons are tiny. The font is even tinier and I can't see anything. So let's take a look at how our notifications pop up. They do just as it does on the tablet. Our app drawer is moved to the top. And then our navigation buttons are moved to the side. And we have Google search on the top as well. It's so tiny. So what we have to do is, now you're going to thank me for having the keyboard already set up. But what we have to do is go to our settings. And we go to the app drawer, go to settings. And then as you can see, we already have a hybrid settings layout. So now let's scroll all the way to accessibility. We probably should have done this before we had rebooted and everything, but let's select large text, so at least it'll make it a bit easier to read. And that's about it in terms of what we have for settings. And then let me show you the keyboard. So at least now we can see. There we go. We can see the keyboard pop up. And it's pretty usable. You'll see in a minute after we make some more changes that it'll be a lot more normal to type on. So now what we're going to do next is adjust the LCD density to 192, which is what we're used to when we're not in tablet mode, when we're just regular phone mode. That's the default density. So what we're going to do is go to ROM Toolbox. And they're just like, oh my gosh, everything is in tablet mode. It's really cool. But now we have to scroll all the way to Performance, and then go to the build.prop tweaks, that option. And now we can change our LCD density. So just scroll really precisely all the way to 192. You can make it larger if you feel like even after that the icons are too small for you. But I think 192 is a good number. And then all the way down at the bottom, you click apply. And then it says ROM Toolbox Lite has been granted permissions. And then now we need to reboot in order for the changes to take effect. I also want to note that, if I haven't already, our changes to the lock ring didn't carry over, and our changes to the status bar didn't carry over either. So if you want to make those customizations, they'll only work if you're not in this hybrid tablet mode kind of thing. And I say hybrid because now let's look at what we have. When we change the pixel density or the LCD density, the whole layout kind of changed as well. So now we have our navigation buttons on the bottom as usual, and then we have our status bar on the top. Now our status bar and navigation buttons are still going to be tiny, unfortunately. If you drag down your notification bar, it's not as large as we would like it to be, but it's still definitely readable. But now we have still looks like a tablet. It has a tablet feel, because if we go to our Gmail again, it still has that tablet layout. But again, we have the whole phone layout here with the navigation bar and the status bar. So again, it's a hybrid. But we have one last thing that we can do in order to make this a little more bearable, and that we have ROM Toolbox Lite again, and then let's scroll all the way down to Interface and Font Installer, and we can choose a font that's particularly bigger than the rest, so that the text would be even larger than what we currently have it as. So if we choose something like, well, this one would be difficult to read because just of how the letters are shaped, but let's go ahead and, I don't want to choose an ugly one, so I'm just scrolling through this. Let's go ahead and do the one that I had before. It was farther down. I believe I had Neuropol on, so it's all in caps. And then we can say install. And then after that, I'm gonna have to reboot now. Again, if you still think that the graphics and the icons are a bit too small, you can always adjust the LCD density to something greater than 192. But there we go. So I don't know if you can tell from the camera, but the fonts are slightly easier to read. And then let me just show you some of what the tablet mode / hybrid of that has to offer. So I'm going to take this out of the way. Oops. And then let's go ahead and add some widgets. So let me move this to the side as well. So I'm going to go ahead and add my Gmail widget. And say inbox. And then we can always still resize our widgets. Keep it at that. And then how about let's add our music widget. Can't resize that. And then finally, let's add, how about the widget from the Play Store? And put that on the top. And then over here, You can add the widget that we had before. We had the music / my library. Select my music. Oh, of course, I had cleared my phone, so I don't have any at the moment. And then what's really cool is if you have the bookmarks widget, then it'll display a lot more bookmarks because of the way that the screen is arranged in this hybrid tablet mode. So if we go to bookmarks, we resize that. If you have more than how many I have, then you'll be able to resize it to, you'll be able to see tons and tons of bookmarks, and they work too. So let's go ahead and go to, how about eBay? And as you can see in the web browser itself, it has the tablet mode, so it shows each of these web pages in tabs. And then even if we go into landscape mode, it does the same thing. Let's go to classic site. Alright, and you see web browser works pretty well. Nice and smooth. And then again with these tabs, really cool. So one of my favorite things about tablet mode. And then you can see that these navigation bars had rotated to like fit landscape mode. They're not on the side or anything like that. So I'm gonna go ahead to home. Unfortunately, the home screen does not have landscape mode for it. The actual tablet mode, not hybrid, but fully tablet mode does. So just as a note for that. And then also with Google Chrome, if you go to the Play Store, search for Chrome, download that. Oops. You can even note that now the keyboard is about the regular size that we have for our Android keyboard in regular mode, in phone mode. So let's go ahead and download Chrome so I can show you it. That's pretty cool. Alright, so we can select download from my apps. Trying to find out, oh, I see. Your device isn't compatible with this version. That's interesting because I had Chrome before, and I was able to download it and use it even in tablet mode. So that was interesting. So let's try and see if we can download another app that works for the phone, but perhaps not for the tablet. Or let me check out my apps. Yeah, it's not installed. But let's go ahead and see if we can download another application that I can show you. How about let's just do Use Republic. It's a good tablet application. You can install. And yeah, it seems to be fine. Alright, so let's open it. And there you go. Wonder what would happen if we try and put on landscape mode. Do we have this sort of tablet feel to it as well? It's not exactly the smoothest. Perhaps maybe it's because it's still starting up. Or it might also be because we're in tablet mode. But, I mean, it works quite well. Especially for something that's not supposed to be in tablet mode. But we have that. So if we go to top news, you can read it in this kind of overview. And then go home. So I want to show you the calendar app, which is my personal favorite in this hybrid tablet mode. So if I go to calendar, you'll see that normally we don't have this kind of interface for a week view. We just have a window showing about this much. But now you see we have a month overview, so we can scroll through the entire month and say, hey, for this week I want to see it here, so I don't have to actually scroll like this through every single week. We can just do a quick shortcut through here. So I found that to be pretty cool. I don't have anything necessarily scheduled for the July yet, but anyways, it's a great view for this like type of interface, and that's how I really like tablet mode. If we want to select our day, we just get greeted with, again, this detailed pane and then this overview, and then this shows us which calendars we want to be displayed. So if I don't want to see my repertoire calendar, I can go ahead and take that out, and then take all of my personal stuff out as well, or keep them back in. And then we can also see the month, the month view, and they'll get us a full overview. And normally in like a regular calendar app, you just like see like little lines or bars that signify different events. But here in tablet mode, we see more of the details. Even if it's really small text, at least we can make out somewhat what the specific event is. So this is my favorite part about having tablet mode on device. It's all about the calendar. As for agenda, you also have like a whole entire list. And let's see, if I go to, alright, June 13th, I work at Mathnasium where I tutor math. And then we have the whole entire list again, and then the details about it. And then we can go ahead and edit it from here. And then here you have an overview of all of your options. And I think it's fairly readable, even though before we started out with super small text, now we have text that we can work with. So of course we can go back to today, and then we can always go back to the month view, or again to the week view. And I just think it's like the best thing that's ever happened since sliced bread. I really like the calendar application. And then of course with your navigations, all of this stays the same. And then your gesture for Google Now, yeah, that stays the same. That stays the same as well. And then another thing that I want to note is the status bar. It's quite small, but it gets the job done. Perhaps you would like to increase the DPI or the LCD density even more so you can see it, but I can make it out. Maybe it's because I'm young, but you also have the same options and same gestures that you have in phone mode, that you can take two fingers, press them on the screen at the same time to resize a large notification such as my messages, or you can resize it back as such. And then you can also, I don't think you can dismiss it, but I believe you can dismiss that one and get that out of the way. And then you also, again, you have shortcut to the settings, and you have one additional feature on the top as well. Then you just can go ahead and go like that to get out of the way, or you can just touch, get that out of the way as well. So that is a brief look at this tablet hybrid mode, and also an in-depth look at how to get to it. So that concludes the review. Not the review, but that concludes the tutorial, at least for modifying your phone. The actual last final step that you might want to do is go back from part 1, where you had backed up all of your files, all of your personal files from your internal SD card on the phone, and take those files that you had backed up on the computer and put them back. So let's just say you had an entire music library or a lot of documents that you had. You can put them back on the phone so you had it just the way you had it before you started customizing, except now you have an awesome theme to go along with it. So yes, now that concludes this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you at least learned something about theming and customizing on your Samsung Galaxy Nexus. And if you like to see more of this kind of stuff, please rate, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions, please comment in the comment section below. And of course, I always appreciate your feedback. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time on the next video review or tutorial or news announcement. Thanks, guys.